This is Lisa Tucker, host of The Book Cover, which showcases local literary personalities. So listen to The Book Cover on the borderline. And remember, don't judge a book by its cover. Hi there, you're listening to The Book Cover. I'm Lisa Tucker. We are on the borderline, and today I have a first offender here at The Book Cover, Peter Vaudry. Welcome, Peter.
Oh, thank you, Lisa.
Now, your book, your very first book, you did, it came out last fall, and you wrote that at the very young age of 81.
80 when I started.
You were 80,
yeah.
Okay, very, very young age of 80. So your background, you were a steel worker.
Yes.
For all your life.
Yes.
So you don't have a literary background. What caused you, what was the thought process that caused you to write this book?
Well, I just finished reading Frank Starlow's book, Special Place, about Sault Ste. Marie and why he thought it was special. And I went through it, and I agreed with him totally, except I said, Frank, in my experience, what he's talking about is the generosity of the citizens of Sault Ste. Marie in fundraising events like the Surrey Hospital, the CAT scan campaign, and things like that. But in my experience, there's a spirit of generosity in the Sioux, a spirit of kindness, a generosity of kindness in the Sioux. And I said, I think you missed that. And I started, he asked me to answer some questions to go into his book. And as I was thinking about it, I thought, well, I could relate my experience and why I think the kindness at Sault Ste. Marie. And it started when I was between 9 and 11, growing up in Behaviour, west end of Sault Ste. Marie.
Yeah.
And my dad died in 1954, and I would be 10 in that coming in that May. He died in February. And the kindness that was shown to our family, my mother left with 11 children.
That's crazy. I read that,
yeah.
And here I'm thinking, because I'm a mother of two.
Yeah.
And sometimes when my husband worked late, and I had two children, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going nuts. Your mother had 11 children.
Well, she had 12. One died. Right shortly after birth. So there was 11 of us left when my father died in 1954.
And how old was your mother at this time?
I don't know, and she's not telling me.
Okay.
I don't even know how old she was when she died. She never gave us her birth certificate.
Okay, well, how old was your dad when he passed?
I couldn't tell you.
I'm going to say 30?
Oh, I would say 39.
Okay, so your mother was around 30-ish.
I would say so,
okay.
Yes.
Oh, good Lord. 11 children. Okay. Were you all good children?
Oh, at that time, yes, we were, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
Well, the oldest was my sister Betty, who was 19 years old.
Okay.
At that time. Then we went all the way down. So I was right in the middle.
You're the middle child.
I'm the middle child, yes, of the 11. So.
Wow.
But, the kindness that was shown to us, and it wasn't a deliberate kind of kindness. It was a generosity of spirit. That the people automatically looked at us, and there were things that we needed. And I remember the church people coming, and we would not have had a Christmas without them. They brought food, they brought gifts, So this was marvelous. And I remember walking down Gooley Avenue in the wintertime, and I recounted in my book. There's a clothing store at the far end of Gooley Avenue, close to Algoma still. I don't even remember what the name of it was, but the owner called me in the store, fits me with the jacket, and tells me to keep it. You look cold, here, wear that. And it was wonderful. It kept me. She didn't have to do that.
No.
She owned a business. She's trying to make a profit.
Sure.
But she saw me walking with just a sweater on. She called me in the store and gave me a jacket.
Wow.
Which is marvelous. That was the kind of kindness that I experienced. And as I got older and I got involved in things, as I say, I started off by helping Joe Lozon, a neighbor of mine, asked me to help him to deliver daffodils for the Cancer Society. So I got involved in that. I enjoyed it. Then I started volunteering in other aspects. And the first thing I really got involved heavily with was the Canadian Games for the Physically Disabled in Sault Ste. Marie, the first ever in Canada, pretty well. And the people that were involved that did things, the businesses, the volunteers, they were all there for the right reason. It wasn't about them. They were there because they wanted to make a difference in people's lives, and they did.
They were there for the athletes.
They were there for the athletes. They were there for the Sioux, right down to the police. I remember Jim Fitzpatrick from Country Style Donuts.
Yes.
I'd called there and I said, we have a jumbo jet coming into the Sioux at midnight with athletes from British Columbia, Alberta. They collected them along the way. So I asked them if they could come and bring coffee and donuts. I never heard back. Midnight, Jim Fitzpatrick shows up with his truck loaded with coffee and donuts for the athletes. Not only did he set up, but he stayed, raining. He stayed and helped bring the athletes one by one with wheelchairs into the terminal. You just can't ask for anything better.
Right.
That's kindness.
Yes.
Because
he didn't have to.
He didn't have to, and he wasn't looking for thanks. He could have just left his truck and the donuts there and gone home.
Yeah.
Marvelous. So things like that really leave an impression in your mind.
Yeah.
They really do.
Recently, what you're telling me is sort of sparking in my mind that terrible tragedy the city just heard about was the mother getting into that car crash.
Yes.
And the 3-year-old son passing, and she was pregnant, and there was a GoFundMe.
Oh yes.
And I went through some of the GoFundMe people, lots of them are anonymous, but so many people gave. They didn't have, again, you don't have to. Nobody knows whether you've given or not.
No.
Unless you look at the list.
Yeah.
And the city came through for something that was so tragic, and I mean, of course, $1 million isn't going to, bring that poor child back.
Not going to bring the child back.
But at least they that's one less thing they have to worry about in their grief.
Yeah.
And the people of Sault Ste. Marie did that.
No, and it's an inherent kindness. Nobody asked to be repaid. Nobody was expecting anything.
Yeah.
They were just given out of the sympathy, the feeling in their heart. And it's like what I really say is a generosity of spirit of the people of Sault Ste. Marie. They do that. It's just automatically. It's without asking, without thinking about it. Here, we can do something. We can make a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah.
And that's what I've experienced all my life.
Yeah. Have you ever lived anywhere else
No.
other than Sioux? You've
No.
always lived in Sault Ste.
I always
Marie?
lived in Sault Ste. Marie.
And so what did Frank say then when you said, what did Frank Sarlo say?
Oh, no, he encouraged me.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, go ahead, because I sat with him and we had an interview that he recorded.
For his book.
For his book.
Yeah.
And as I was talking to him, I was telling him about this, and I was telling him what I thought about the kindness. He said, you really should write a book. You really should put this down in writing. And I thought about it, and I said, well, I could do this to leave a record for my children, but I can also do this so that Frank's got something and I've got something. If I want to write a book, I've got the information. And because there was a lot of stuff that was vague in my mind, things that I remembered that I had to go back and make sure I had the names right, because I don't want to put a wrong name in the book. Okay? So, no, he was very encouraging to help me out to do that. Go ahead and do it, write it. And when I finally did it and I sent him a copy before I did anything else, he come back to me and said, "That's you got to publish this." He said, "You really have to, because I think it's a story that the people in Sault Ste. Marie should know about." Lisa, I say kindness is Sault Ste. Marie. But I look at that and I say, that's my experience in my city. But somebody else in another city who've gone through the same thing, they can look at my book and say, you know what, I can write that about my city because my experience is kindness. And if I say, okay, Sudbury, Bruce Mines, people can use that as far as I'm concerned, because I'm not the only one who experienced kindness growing up.
Right.
Other people have.
Oh, sure.
They just haven't sat down and say, boy, when I really think about the kindness that I experience, I live in a great city.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
And I should tell people how I feel.
Yeah.
And that was my thought. Another one that was Doug Milroy, way back when in 2013. we were commenting on something. He said, you stand up for stuff. You should really stand up more often and write about it. This was Doug Milroy, and I had a lot of respect.
Oh, Doug Milroy! I've seen his articles for years and years and years and years.
Yeah. No, he said we need more people like you speaking up.
Yeah.
In fact, after I published my book, I went and sat with him at his house for an hour to thank him for that. I remember that particular thing because he sent me an email. He said you should speak up more often. More people like you should speak up.
For that encouragement, yeah.
For that encouragement, oh yeah.
Yeah. So now you also you put actions behind your words because you've been a city councillor, correct?
Yes, I was. Yes.
And between which years?
1998, 2003, somewhere in that area. 5
years ish.
Yeah.
And you were councillor in the West End?
Yeah, Ward 6 at that time.
Oh yes.
Which doesn't exist anymore.
That's correct.
So Bayview would be in Ward 6.
Okay.
And I lived on Laurier Avenue at that time, so that was in Ward 6.
Yes.
So I was a representative of Ward 6 myself, and Frank Manzo was.
Yes.
And then Mary Pascuzzi, sorry.
Yes.
Mary was a great partner to work with. I liked Mary. Good ideas, bright woman.
Yeah. Well, and I love it when people put actions behind their words, and they, you wanted to insert yourself into the community to be able to maybe make kinder decisions.
Yes, I think you can always make a little bit of a difference.
Yes.
And I thought with my life experience as things came forward, when I go back and I think about when I was young, living in Bayview after my father died, Algoma Steel had big coal piles. Mm-hmm. And I remember in the wintertime, I went there with a sled or a wagon and I stole some coal, put it in the wagon, brought it home so we could
warm the house, yeah.
Well, the Algoma Steel police caught me and called the city police. Mm-hmm. And the city police, very nice, very understanding. They didn't look at me as a criminal at all. They looked at me as somebody trying to help his mother, whose father just died, with 11 children. And I look at that, and at that time there was an alderman, and I think his name was Peter King, and Peter arranged for a load of coal to be delivered to our house and poured in the backyard.
Wow.
So at that time I said, I realized, the city can make a difference in helping people in the Sault. Mm-hmm. So when I ran for council, that was the kind of thing that was in my backyard, in my back mind. You can make a difference. Yes. In helping people and in getting involved in a decision. So when I look at the Canada Games for the Physically Disabled, the main driving force behind that was the Community Services Department. It was Debbie Vesela at that time. Mm-hmm. Well, it was just marvelous, and I often look at these disabled athletes that came, and we had the city transit driving them all over. And you got AJ Bus Lines stationed in Sudbury, donated a paratransit to us, because we were short of paratransit. Mm-hmm. No questions asked. Here, use my bus for the time period. Mm-hmm. Use my paratransit. But the way the bus drivers were what I always say is they are diplomats, ambassadors for Sault Ste. Marie. Yeah. They really were. We got so many letters back commenting on the treatment they received and the kindness of the bus drivers, helping them on and off the bus and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And the city police were just so great at that time. We got a lot of letters back to the committee commenting on their interaction with the police and how nice the police were in Sault Ste. Marie. Some of them, one guy from Texas, an athlete, 300-pound big fella.
What was his sport?
He was in a wheelchair racing.
Wow.
And he also did shooting.
Okay.
So he had to go to the gun range and was late. And I shouldn't really be telling that, but the police put him in the back of a wagon and turned the siren on.
So he could get there.
So he could get there. Well, he never stopped talking about that the whole entire time he was here.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want anybody to know I said that, okay?
No, and we won't say which officers did that.
Or did that or anything else like that. But, it was the kind of thing when I look at, here's a disabled athlete who was really worried about making it in time to a gun range. And they said, well, we'll get you there. just absolutely fantastic.
Wow, that's amazing. One thing I always say, and this is why I did so much research on you and your book, Kindness is Sault Ste. Marie, because I always say, if we're talking about, I don't know, maybe I have another podcast called The Superior Review, where a bunch of ladies, we sit and talk about whatever, the topics of the day. And sometimes it's negative, like we're talking. And I always say, if you cannot go wrong if you lead with kindness. If your intention is kindness, you cannot go wrong. Even if you are criticizing somebody, lead with kindness. Even if you have to deliver some negative news, lead with kindness.
Always. You
can't go wrong.
Always.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that I wrote the book was that my experience in Sault Ste. Marie is we are kind. We have a generosity of spirit. But when I look at what goes on in social media these days, I get a little bit discouraged. And I get discouraged because I don't think enough people are speaking up and saying, you know what? You have a right to your opinion. You certainly have, but you can give your opinion respectfully. You don't have to attack people and do it. You can lead with kindness.
See, the people that I find, the people that are negative on social media, they're hiding behind their computer, so they are cowardly. Say it to somebody's face. Could they sit there in front of somebody and say those harsh, negative, abusive words to the person's face?
No.
9 times out of 10, they wouldn't be able to do it.
And you know what? They wouldn't, because they were raised to not do that. They were raised to be kind and respectful.
Yeah. It's easy to sit at a computer where you don't see the person's face.
And when you have anonymity.
Yes. And you can post anonymously.
And you can post anonymously.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want.
Yep.
But you know what? That is not the way you were raised. I'm willing to bet that 100% that their parents never raised that child that way. Never.
Yeah.
Never. It is sad to see that. I was really encouraged a while back where there was a letter to the mayor. Somebody criticized him really viciously. The mayor put it online. The majority of the responses to that, they were kind in answering to the guy, whoever did that. They said, look, you're entitled to your opinion, but the way you gave it was rude, wasn't called for, didn't have to use that language. Be respectful, be nice, be kind.
Yeah.
And I was really encouraged that the people were speaking up, and that's what I'm hoping my book does. It encourages more people to say, no,
that's not right.
That's not Sault Ste. Marie. Kindness is Sault Ste. Marie. We are a kind group. You have a right to your opinion. You have a right to say what you want, but you can do it in a respectful manner.
Absolutely.
You can.
Absolutely. I find a lot of the negative comments that I see on different posts, and this is another thing I always say, it's commenting on the problems. And we do have problems in the Soo. The Soo is not perfect.
We all have problems.
Commenting on the problems, but not offering up any solutions. Unless you're offering up some solutions, some realistic solutions, don't bother. Don't bother with the negativity, because it's already a negative thing. We already know it's negative. You know, our drug problem in the Soo, we already know it's a bad thing. Offer up some solutions instead of commenting on the problem. Solutions, it combats problems. And if more people, instead of, saying, oh yeah, this is terrible, I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. Well, how about, this is terrible, I can't believe it, why don't we, or I wonder if they ever thought of.
You know what? People like myself have experiences in life. We could have been homeless. We certainly could have been. My mother's a widow, 11 children. My dad died. The oldest was 19 at that time. But I look back on my 80 years when I started writing the book, and I'm saying, you know what? It is my experience. There were negatives. There were along the path. There were. If I had let the negatives formed who I am today, but the kindness that I was shown always came through, and the negatives were outweighed. So you have a choice in life. You have a choice to say, oh, I suffered all these negatives, so I'm going to be negative my entire life.
100%. I agree with you 100%.
Or I was showing really kindness, and the kindness made a difference in who I am today.
That's right. We have a choice to see the glass as half full or half empty.
Half empty. And you know what? 99% of the time, it's half full.
You know what? And that's the way everybody should look at it. Not woe is me, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. I have all this laundry that I have to do. Well, I'm lucky I have clothes, or I have to clean this house. Well, I'm lucky I have a home.
Oh, I got to tell you a story.
Oh.
After my dad died in Bayview, there was a fire in a house up the street. And I knew the kids because we played with them. Mm-hmm. My mother is going through our drawers, taking clothes out to give to them. And I see her taking something of mine. And I say, holy smokes, how come you're doing that? We don't have enough for ourselves. But she said, but Peter, they have nothing.
Nothing.
They have nothing, okay? In other words, we're well off. We may be poor. I may be a widower. We don't, very little, and I'm giving away something that you have little of, but they have nothing. And that has stuck with me forever. You can always make a difference. Here's a woman left as a widow with 11 children, helping somebody else.
And she's giving.
And she's giving what she can to help somebody.
So your mother must have been, oh my goodness, she must have been like a Wonder Woman.
Well, I thought she was.
And you must have gotten that. You must have gotten that importance of kindness from her. It sounds like.
Well, that experience to me, she could have stopped and say, "You're right. We don't have enough. I don't want to know why I've given," but she didn't. She said, "We can always make a difference. Mm-hmm. They have nothing." Mm-hmm. Which means that we're not rich, but we still have something to give, and we should give. Yeah. We should. And she didn't say be kind or anything like that. It was just instinctive in her to do that. Mm-hmm. So she was being kind. She was being ultra kind.
Yeah.
But it never crossed her mind that she was deliberately being kind. But Peter, they have nothing. You know? Just automatically, never ever said it. But I'm complaining. But Peter, they have nothing. Mm. Well, that stuck with me my entire life. You can always make a difference.
Wow.
Your life could be very negative, and you look at where I was at that time. Look at my mother, where she was. She could have been down. She could have been negative. She could have been a lot of things.
Absolutely.
But she looked and said, no, they have nothing. We can help.
We have something.
We have something. Yeah.
Have any of your siblings read the book?
There's two of us left. The two youngest ones, as a matter of fact. My sister Shirley was married to Bob Allard, and my sister Audrey, who lives out of town. They both read the book.
And what did they think about it?
My sister Shirley was chuckling. My sister Audrey, who we call Penny, asked me to send her 10 copies. And she said, because she wanted to give them to friends of hers.
Oh, okay.
Because she thought the Sioux, as I talked about, this would be a good example that could go to other communities. Mm-hmm. It's about kindness. And what she's saying is Sault Ste. Marie is an example of what other cities are. We just have to get people to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I thought that she's right on.
This would be a great gift for the city to buy up for visiting dignitaries and other officials.
Well, that's up to the city.
Well, they should, if they're listening right now, they should buy a whole bunch of these books.
Yeah, the money, as you know, is going to St. Vincent's Place.
Yes, all the proceeds.
All the proceeds. I paid for the printing myself because I wanted to get it out there. I want people to know what I experienced and what I think of the Sioux and what we could be an example to the world of the kindness, because we are kind. We are inherently kind in the city. But when I was growing up, we had the Salvation Army. Mm-hmm. We had things like that. We got a lot of help from the community. So St. Vincent's is an example of what I experienced growing up for other people.
Right.
It's there for them.
Yes.
So I was very happy working with Sarah McCleary and Nat at St. Vincent's Place. Sat down with them, and Frank Sarro drew up an agreement, and they get all the proceeds. And I'm happy to give it to them. I really am, because I experienced what they offer.
Yeah.
As growing up, I experienced that, and it's marvelous. And I mean, if you look at the city, look at what's going on, look at the homeless, look at the people. Things are tough right now for a lot of people. That doesn't mean they're not people. That doesn't mean they're not persons.
Yep.
I think that if we are there and we try to make, and St. Vincent's Place makes a difference in our community. You know what? The difference that I experienced in my life growing up, the kindness that I was shown, made me what I am today. Mm-hmm. And I think St. Vincent's Place showing the kindness that they do can help people that they look around and say, there's somebody that helped me. Now maybe I can help somebody else.
And it's, I find kindness is contagious. Your mother gave it to you.
Oh, yes, yes.
You have probably given it to your own children.
They are wonderful.
Well, of course they are.
They take after their mother, though.
Oh, their tiny little mother. and what was your mother's name?
Irene.
Irene Vaudry. What was her maiden name?
Rousseau.
So she sounds like she was an amazing woman.
Oh, she was. She was. You can't have a husband that die when you're there. This is 1954.
And she didn't work, probably.
She didn't work. No, always in the home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it was amazing. I remember that Algoma Steel at that time was the corporation of Algoma was very nice. They sent my mother a letter to help her whatever they can. The union representative came to our house, sat and talked with my mother, whatever they could do.
Did your dad work for Algoma Steel?
My dad worked in Algoma Steel,
okay.
Yes, and he died from cancer.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why when Joe Lozon asked me, do I want to help deliver daffodils for the cancer, I said, well, I'd like to. Yeah,
sure.
Definitely. I want to pay back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How wonderful. So how much is the book?
$30.
And all the proceeds, like we said? All
the proceeds go to St. Vincent's. In fact, I printed 150 the first run, and I'm just printing another 150.
Wow.
Because people are
wanting it.
Are wanting it, and I think they appreciate the message.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them can associate. I outlined 11 events that I was involved with, and I named the people and the businesses that were part of those events. And that's a huge example of people, businesses, organizations in Sault Ste. Marie that actually help to make a difference. Mm-hmm. And they're all there for the right reason. It's not about them. They're there because they look around and they say, I have a skill. I could bring that skill to help this event, and that event is helping people.
Yeah.
So in effect, what they're doing is saying, you know what, I'm a citizen of Sault Ste. Marie. I worked at Algoma Steel, mm-hmm. but that didn't mean that I couldn't volunteer for the Cancer Society.
Sure.
Even though I'm a steel worker.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with anything else. So when I look around at the businesses and I look at a guy like Jim Hilsinger, the first ever all-night ski event held in Sault Ste. Marie was at Searchmont Ski Resort when Jim Hilsinger was there.
Yeah.
Jim Hilsinger agreed to do it as soon as they got night lights, mm-hmm. all night long. In fact, he was awake and was there all night to make sure everything went. Paul Delsig at that time was the owner of Canadian Tire on McNabb Street. So a couple of years later, we wanted to do cross-country skiing at night too. Well, he went to Hong Kong and got us 500 lanterns at cost and give them to us at cost so we could have the trails so people could come in and cross-country ski at night while we were downhill skiing at night.
Yeah.
It was just so that's...
And these were fundraisers that you were doing?
Oh, yeah, these were for the CNIB and the Cancer Society.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So you got people like that. They don't have to. JJ did not have to say, okay, I'll let you scale. I'll bring all my staff and run all this equipment and everything else, and we'll run all night.
Yeah.
The staff volunteered. They thought it was a great idea. They're helping you. You can't knock Sault Ste. Marie.
And these people that are mentioned in your book, they didn't do this because they were going to be mentioned in your book.
No, they don't know they're mentioned
right?
until they read it.
Yeah.
Oh, I have Kathy Chinook in my book. Kathy is the kind of person who worked at the cancer clinic. Looked at it and said, boy, we're short of some stuff. We need stuff. The hospital couldn't afford it. So she does a fundraiser, $1 million fundraiser over 5 years that raised $1 million over 5 years for cancer care in Sault Ste. Marie.
Wow.
So I talk about Jennifer Sarlo. Jennifer Sarlo was part of that same campaign. Jennifer's heart is in the right place. She's part of the Sioux. Victoria Santana, Victoria Santana, I had never met her. And she's sitting at a meeting and we're talking about the price of the tickets for the gala. And she's saying, well, we should keep the prices so even somebody on an income can take part. We don't want to exclude anybody.
Right.
So she was talking inclusion, include everybody,
Yeah.
So they're in my book, but they don't know they're in my book.
Oh, well, now they know. They know now. And I'm just looking at your pin. You're wearing a pin that says be kind.
Oh, I got this from Diane Morrell. Diane Morrell is on our Kindness Week committee.
Okay.
And Diane has a friend that had this pin. So Diane saw the pin and she bought one and gave them to me to give to each of our committees. So there's 9 people total on our committee. So she saw that. I said, well, that would be really nice. I'm going to give it to the committee.
I love it.
Well, so do I. But again, she's saying that's nice, and that committee, those people are doing good work. They deserve to have a pin.
Yeah.
We have marvelous people in the Sioux.
Wow. You know what? This is really refreshing because, you hear about the negativity. You hear about the armchair warriors in front of their computers with the negativity and the abusive language, and this is really refreshing. So where can one get your book?
Well,
where is it available?
Right now, it's available through me. I haven't gone. I'm not sitting anywhere selling it. People who want to hear the message, they can send me an email and I'll get in touch with them.
Okay, what's your email address?
It's petervaudry@gmail.com.
Okay, so that's petervaudry@gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay.
And send me an email and I'll get to, but people are calling me because they're hearing through word of mouth. Like the 150, I didn't promote anywhere. I didn't go out and do it.
So you sold 150 just by sitting down and doing
nothing.
Just word of mouth.
Just word of mouth.
Did you didn't do a book launch or?
I did a book launch at St. Vincent's Place. Yes.
Oh yes, okay, yes, I do remember that. That was in November.
Yeah, I wanted people to know that all the proceeds were going to St. Vincent's.
Yes.
So Sarah did a wonderful job of organizing the book launch, and people came and bought a ticket. In fact, Kathy and George Chinook were there.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. I think the message is amazing.
Well, that's really what I want.
Yeah.
I really want people who hear this and want to read what went on and the message that I'm trying to convey.
Yeah.
They'll find a way to buy it.
I think this is refreshing, and I think I'm not alone when I say that, because I think other people need to see the glass half full.
Well, it's always half full.
Yeah, it is always half full. I agree with you, Peter. Well, thank you so much. The book is called Kindness is Sault Ste. Marie by Peter Vaudry, his very first book at the ripe old age of 80. Pick it up. Send Peter an email at the email address that we talked about, and pick up a good, nice, refreshing take on Sault Ste. Marie.
And you're helping out St. Vincent's Place at the same time.
That is correct. You've been listening to Lisa Tucker on The Borderline. This is The Book Cover. And remember, don't judge a book by its cover.
Hi, this is Peter Vaudry. I just authored a book at 80 years old called Kindness is Sault Ste. Marie. If you want to find out more about it, you can go to the book cover on the Borderline and listen to Lisa's podcast, and the information on how to get a hold of me and get a book is there. And remember, please be kind. Sault Ste. Marie is inherently kind. We have a generosity of spirit here that is kind. Let's be kind. Thanks.